Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. 2026 is here. A fresh calendar, a fresh chance, and for many of us, a fresh way to look at love. If your heart's been stuck in neutral, or you've been driving in circles, tonight I want to give you 3 simple words that can change the direction of your love life. Reset, restart, refocus, reset. Sometimes the only way to move forward is to clear the slate. That doesn't mean you erase your memories or your lessons. It means you let go of the junk that's keeping you from seeing what's possible. If you've been carrying hurt, disappointment, or old expectations that no longer serve you, reset. Take a breath, forgive yourself, and make space for something new. When you reset, you stop letting yesterday's mistakes define tomorrow's possibilities. Restart. Reset opens the door. Restart is stepping through it. Now that you've cleared the clutter, it's time to begin again with intention. Too many people stay in relationships or cycles because they fear starting over. But restarting is not failure, it's wisdom. It's choosing to put your heart in motion with purpose, to date with standards, to communicate with clarity, and to love with courage. Remember, every great story has chapters. What mattered is not the number of times the book was closed, but the strength with which you open it again. Clear the old to invite the new means understanding that love cannot grow in a crowded space. Many people step into a new year carrying emotional baggage they never unpacked. Old arguments, past betrayals, unanswered questions, and silent disappointments. All of that sits in the heart like clutter in a room. You can bring in new furniture, new people, new promises. But if the room is already full, nothing fits the way it should. Resetting your love life begins when you make the decision to stop dragging yesterday into today. It's not about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about refusing to let it control how you show up now. Too often, people say, I am over it. But their reactions tell a different story. They flinch at honesty, doubt good intentions, or shut down when things start to feel real. That as a sign something old is still running the show. Clearing the old requires honesty with yourself. You have to admit where you were hurt, where you were disappointed, and where you may have compromised your standards just to keep someone around. That kind of self-truth is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. You cannot build a healthy future on a foundation of denial. Forgiveness plays a big role here. And let us be clear, forgiveness is not approval. Forgiving someone does not mean what they did was okay. It means you were done paying the emotional price for it. Holding on to resentment feels like protection. But in reality, it's a weight. It slows your steps and clouds your judgment. When you release resentment, you are not freeing the other person. You are freeing yourself to love without suspicion and fear. That freedom is essential if you want something new to last. Clearing the old also means letting go of outdated beliefs about love. Some people are still living by rules they learned from broken examples or painful experiences. Love never lasts. People always leave. If I don't accept less, I end up alone. Those beliefs shape your choices more than you realize. You end up settling, chasing unavailable people, or pushing away those who actually show up right. A reset asks you to challenge those beliefs and ask, is this true or is this just familiar? Familiar pain is still pain, and it does to deserve a permanent place in your life. Another part of clearing the old is releasing guilt, especially guilt over staying too long, loving too hard, or ignoring red flags. Beating yourself up does make you wiser. Learning does. Every experience taught you something about what you need, what you want, tolerate, and how you want to be treated. Once the lesson is learned, the punishment is no longer required. Growth begins when you replace self-judgment with self-respect. You also have to clear emotional habits. Some people are addicted to chaos because peace feels unfamiliar. Others are so used to proving their worth that they don't know how to receive love without performing for it. Resetting means noticing these patterns and deciding they no longer fit the life you're trying to build. Love should add to your peace, not constantly test your endurance. When you clear the old, you create space not just for a new person, but for a new version of yourself. A version that listens to intuition, honors boundaries, and doesn't ignore discomfort just to avoid being alone. This kind of reset doesn't happen overnight. It's a series of choices: what you allow, what you tolerate, and what you finally decide to release. And here's the truth: new love recognizes cleared space. Healthy people are drawn to clarity, not chaos. When your heart is no longer crowded with unresolved pain, it becomes obvious who belongs and who doesn't. That's when love stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like alignment. Clearing the old is not about loss, it's about preparation. You're not emptying your heart, you're making room for something that actually fits. Restarting your love life is about courage, the courage to begin again without dragging fear into the driver's seat. Many people mistake restarting for starting from zero, but in reality, you're starting from experience. You are not the same person you were before the heartbreak, the disappointment, or the confusion. You've grown, learned, and survived. A restart is simply choosing to apply those lessons instead of letting them turn into walls. It's saying, I know better now, so I can do better now. One of the biggest reasons people resist restarting is fear of repeating the same pain. That fear whispers, what if it ends the same way? But here's the truth: everything ends the same way only when nothing changes. A restart requires intention. It means you're done. Just open your heart. You open your eyes. You pay attention to patterns, consistency, and character. You stop falling in love with potential and start valuing effort. This shift alone changes the entire outcome of your relationships. Restarting also means redefining how you show up. In the past, you may have overgiven, over-explained, or over-compromised, thinking love required sacrifice at your expense. A healthy restart teaches balance. You bring honesty without desperation, affection without attachment to outcomes, and effort without losing yourself. You learn that love is not about chasing or proving it. As about choosing and being chosen freely and willingly. Another powerful part of restarting is setting standards and sticking to them. Standards are not demands, they're boundaries that protect your peace. When you restart with standards, you no longer negotiate on respect, communication, or emotional availability. You don't ignore red flags just because you want the story to work. Instead, you trust that walking away from what is wrong is making space for what is right. That kind of discipline feels lonely at first, but it saves you from long-term heartbreak. Restarting your love life also requires patience with others and with yourself. Healing is not linear, and neither is growth. There will be moments when old fears resurface or when vulnerability feels risky. A restart does mean those feelings disappear. It means they no longer control your decisions. You allow yourself to feel without letting fear dictate your actions. That balance is where emotional maturity lies. You also have to restart the way you think about timing. Many people believe they are behind in love, especially when comparing themselves to others. But love doesn't operate on a universal clock. Your timeline is yours alone. Restarting means releasing the pressure to catch up and focusing instead on getting it right. Rushing into the wrong relationship just to avoid being alone only delays the right one. There's also a restart that happens internally, a renewed commitment to self-worth. You stop seeing yourself as someone hoping to be chosen and start seeing yourself as someone with something valuable to offer. This shift changes your energy. You speak differently, move differently, and attract differently. Confidence rooted in self-respect is far more powerful than confidence built on validation. Finally, restarting is an act of hope, not blind hope, but grounded hope, the kind that believes love can be better because you are better. It is trusting that your past did happen to break you, but to prepare you. When you restart with clarity, boundaries, and self-respect, love stops being something you chase and becomes something you align with. You are no longer repeating old chapters. You're writing a new one with intention, wisdom, and heart. Refocusing on what truly matters is the moment when love stops being confusing and starts becoming clear. Most relationship pain does come from a lack of love. It comes from misplaced focus. People focus on chemistry instead of character, attention instead of intention, words instead of action. When your focus is off, you can be surrounded by signs and still miss the truth. Refocusing means adjusting your lens so you see people for who they are, not who you hope they will become. In today's world, distraction is everywhere. Social media highlights, endless options, and constant comparison can make you feel like something better is always one swipe away. That mindset quietly damages your love life. You stop nurturing what is real because you were chasing what looks exciting. Refocusing asks you to slow down and ask yourself serious questions. Does this person bring me peace? Do they show consistency? Do their actions align with their words? When you start focusing on answers instead of fantasies, your decisions become wiser. Refocus also means getting clear about your values. Attraction may start the connection, but values determine whether it lasts. If you value honesty, emotional safety, and commitment, but you keep entertaining people who are inconsistent or unavailable, your focus is divided. Love cannot thrive in contradiction. When your values are clear, you stop negotiating them for temporary comfort. You realize that being alone with peace is better than being with someone who constantly unsettles your spirit. Another important shift in refocusing is moving away from external validation. Many people look for love to fill gaps in self-worth. They focus on being chosen, liked, or desired, instead of focusing on whether the connection is healthy. Refocusing turns the question around. Instead of asking, do they want me? You start asking, is this good for me? That shift changes everything. It puts your emotional well-being back in your hands. Refocusing also means paying attention to patterns, not promises. Anyone can say the right things, especially in the beginning. But consistency reveals intention. When you refocus, you stop making excuses for behavior that does align with respect or effort. You stop interpreting silence as mystery and inconsistency as passion. You begin to understand that clarity is attractive and confusion is a warning sign. There's also a need to refocus on growth instead of perfection. No relationship is flawless, but healthy relationships are intentional. Refocusing helps you distinguish between normal challenges and fundamental incompatibility. You stop expecting someone to save you, complete you, or fix you. Instead, you focus on mutual growth, accountability, and emotional maturity. Love becomes a partnership, not a rescue mission. Refocusing your love life also requires discipline with your time and energy. Where your attention goes, your emotions follow. If you keep revisiting people who hurt you or entertaining conversations that lead nowhere, your focus remains scattered. Refocusing means being selective. Not everyone deserves access to your heart, your time, or your vulnerability. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it is responsible. Another powerful part of refocusing is trusting your intuition again. Past hurt can make you doubt your inner voice, but refocusing helps you reconnect with it. When something feels off, you don't ignore it just to keep the connection alive. You listen. Peace is not boring. It is a signal that something is aligned. Chaos is not excitement. It is often a warning. When you refocus on what truly matters, values, consistency, peace, and growth, love stops feeling like a guessing game. You stop chasing attention and start choosing alignment. You become less impressed by charm and more impressed by effort. That clarity does to limit your options. It protects your heart. And when your focus is right, love no longer drains you. It supports you, strengthens you, and meets you where you are. Making choices daily is the quiet, consistent work that separates those who hope for a better love life from those who actually create it. Many people treat love as something that happens to them, as if it's an event they can attend or miss. The truth is, love is a series of decisions, small and large, made every day. Deciding to show up emotionally, deciding to communicate openly, deciding to set boundaries, deciding to let go of what does. To serve you, these are the acts that accumulate into a meaningful, lasting relationship. Every day presents opportunities to either move closer to healthy love or fall back into old patterns. You may wake up and see a text that triggers insecurity or jealousy. You may feel the impulse to react with anger or withdrawal. Choosing to pause, reflect, and respond with clarity instead of instinct is a daily choice. It may feel small in the moment, but repeated over time, it changes your heart, your relationships, and even your future. Those who master the art of daily choices develop a resilience that allows love to grow even through challenges. Daily choices also involve consistency in how you invest in yourself. You cannot give what you do not have. Choosing to prioritize self-care, emotional growth, and your own happiness is not selfish. It is foundational to loving well. When you make these choices consistently, you bring stability and strength to your relationships. You stop looking for someone else to complete you because you have decided to complete yourself first. That decision shapes the energy you bring into every connection. Another aspect of daily choices is how you respond to challenges in your relationships. Conflicts are inevitable, but reacting impulsively can undo trust and intimacy. Choosing patience, empathy, and understanding on a daily basis builds a relational muscle that protects love from unnecessary strain. You decide whether to escalate or de-escalate, to argue to win or to understand. These are not one-time decisions. They are habits formed over time that define the character of your love life. Daily choices also extend to the people you allow into your space. Every interaction, every conversation, every relationship requires discernment. Choosing to invest time and energy in those who uplift and respect you, to disengage from those who drain or disrespect you, is a daily practice. Boundaries are maintained through repetition. They are not a single statement, but a continuous series of yes and no, decisions that protect your heart and your peace. Moreover, daily choices include the intention behind your action. Love that grows without thought can fade quickly, but love that is chosen with purpose deepens with time. Deciding to express appreciation, to listen actively, to support dreams, to acknowledge effort, these are daily commitments. They are small gestures that, when repeated, create trust, intimacy, and a sense of security that relationships need to thrive. It is also important to recognize that daily choices involve letting go when necessary. Each day you have the option to hold on to grudges, insecurities, or toxic attachments, or you can release them. Choosing release is a conscious act of courage, and it allows space for healthier connections to enter your life. The decision to forgive, to move forward, and to refuse to dwell on the past is a daily choice that strengthens your capacity for love. Finally, the accumulation of these choices shapes your love life over time. Daily choices are not always dramatic or noticeable, but they are transformative. They build patterns that either attract healthy love or repeat cycles of disappointment. Every kind word, every patient response, every boundary enforced, every self-care action contributes to the person you are becoming and the love you are attracting. Making choices daily is the practice of intentional living, and it is the secret to a love life that is not just reactive, but proactive, conscious, and fulfilling. Aligning actions with your vision is one of the most powerful steps you can take in your love life. Many people talk about what they want in love, dream about it, and even imagine it in detail, but their daily behaviors contradict their desires. They say they want respect, yet tolerate disrespect. They claim to seek honesty, yet manipulate or lie to avoid conflict. They hope for commitment, yet invest in people who are inconsistent or unavailable. When your actions do not match your vision, you create confusion and disappointment, both for yourself and for those around you. Love is not built on intentions alone. It is built on consistent alignment between what you say you want and what you actually do. One of the first steps in aligning your actions with your vision is clarity. You have to be certain about what you truly want. It is easy to say, I want love. But love comes in many forms, some fulfilling and some draining. You must define the values, behaviors, and characteristics that are non-negotiable for you. What does respect look like to you? How should honesty be expressed? What actions demonstrate commitment? Once you have clarity, you can measure whether your current choices reflect that vision or contradict it. Alignment requires courage because it often challenges comfort. Many people stay in relationships, habits, or routines that are familiar, even if they are unhealthy, simply because change feels risky. Acting in alignment with your vision may require difficult conversations, saying no to toxic influences, or even walking away from people who no longer serve your highest good. It requires putting long-term fulfillment above short-term comfort, which is not always easy, but is essential for creating the love life you desire. Another aspect of alignment is consistency. It is not enough to act in alignment once or sporadically. Love is cultivated through repeated actions that reinforce your standards and values. If you say you value respect, you must consistently demand it and offer it. If honesty is important, you must consistently practice it, even when it is uncomfortable. Every decision, interaction, and response should reflect the vision you hold for your relationships. Over time, consistency becomes a reflection of your integrity, and it attracts people who are aligned with your intentions. Aligning actions with vision also involves self-awareness. You need to observe your habits, triggers, and patterns to understand where your behavior may be sabotaging your goals. For example, if you notice that you often compromise your standards to avoid conflict, that is an area where your actions are not aligned with your vision. Being honest with yourself allows you to make conscious adjustments, ensuring that your behavior consistently mirrors your values and desires. Intentionality is another key element. Every interaction, from the way you communicate to how you spend your time and energy, should be intentional. Love is not something to drift into accidentally. It is something to cultivate with purpose. Aligning your actions means being deliberate about who you invest in, how you show affection, and what boundaries you uphold. Intentionality protects your heart from wasted energy and ensures that your vision is not just a dream, but a lived reality. Moreover, aligning actions with vision creates trust and clarity in relationships. When others see that your behavior matches your words, they know where they stand. This reduces confusion, misunderstandings, and emotional turbulence. People are naturally drawn to reliability and integrity, and living in alignment attracts connections that are healthy, honest, and sustainable. Finally, this alignment is not only about external actions, but also internal integrity. Your thoughts, emotions, and intentions must also reflect your vision. Acting one way while internally resisting or doubting creates tension that eventually surfaces in your relationships. True alignment occurs when your inner world and outer actions resonate together, producing a love life that is authentic, intentional, and deeply fulfilling. Believing in your capacity to change your story is the foundation of any meaningful transformation in your love life. Too often, people feel trapped by their past experiences, as if the heartbreak, rejection, or mistakes they've endured define who they are and what they deserve. They think this is just the way my love life goes, or I'm unlucky in relationships. But the truth is, your story is not written in stone. Every day, every choice, every mindset shift gives you the power to rewrite the narrative and move toward the love you truly desire. The first step in this process is acknowledging that your past is a teacher, not a sentence. It provides lessons, not limitations. Every failure, disappointment, or misstep has given you insight into your values, your boundaries, and your needs. By reflecting on these experiences without judgment, you transform them into a toolkit for smarter decisions and healthy relationships. Believing in your capacity to change starts with understanding that the past does not equal the future. Next comes self-awareness, because you cannot change a story you do not recognize. You need to examine patterns, behaviors, and recurring challenges in your relationships. Perhaps you've noticed that you tend to attract partners who are emotionally unavailable, or maybe you struggle with overgiving at the expense of your own needs. Awareness allows you to see these patterns without blaming yourself. Once recognized, patterns can be addressed, altered, and eventually broken. Changing your story is not about erasing your history, it's about using it as a guide to make wiser, more intentional choices moving forward. A critical component of believing in your capacity to change is cultivating a mindset of possibility. Many people approach love with a sense of scarcity, thinking they have only one chance at happiness, or that they must accept whatever comes their way because good options are rare. This mindset limits potential and attracts unfulfilling relationships. Shifting to a mindset of possibility opens you to the truth that there are countless ways to experience love, and your choices shape which story unfolds. Optimism, grounded in self-respect and awareness, fuels the courage necessary to try again, even after disappointment. Another key element is taking responsibility without guilt. Changing your story means owning your actions, your decisions, and your role in past relationships. This is not self-blame, it is accountability. When you understand how your choices contributed to past outcomes, you gain the power to make different ones in the future. Each time you make a choice aligned with your values, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of steering your love life in the direction you desire. Belief in your capacity to change also requires patience. Transformation does not happen overnight, and old habits, fears, or insecurities may resurface along the way. But persistence is part of the process. Each time you choose differently, respond with clarity, set a boundary, or communicate openly, you are reshaping your story. Small, consistent actions compound into significant change over time. Visualization and intentionality further strengthen your ability to rewrite your story. By envisioning the kind of love you want and imagining yourself behaving in alignment with that vision, you create a mental map that guides your actions. Intentionality turns abstract hopes into tangible behaviors, showing respect, demanding honesty, communicating openly, and prioritizing your emotional well-being. Your vision becomes the standard against which every choice is measured. Finally, believing in your capacity to change your story is an act of courage and hope. It is the conscious decision to step out of old narratives, stop repeating cycles, and embrace the possibility of healthier, more fulfilling love. When you truly believe in yourself, your heart begins to operate from a place of strength, wisdom, and confidence, attracting the kind of love that reflects your growth and your values. Change is not just possible. It is inevitable when you commit to making choices that align with the story you want to tell.